Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last couple days I've been driving the 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid Premium Plus. Up front is a 2.5 liter inline 4 as well as a hybrid system, and down below is an eCVT. Now I am super excited to be making this video for two reasons. First of all, I am a die-hard Mazda fan. I love the brand, and this is the brand's next step towards electrification, so I'm excited to see how it plays out. But the second reason is the fact that this was actually sent to my house before this was made public, so I got to drive around an unreleased car for a couple of days, which was such an awesome experience, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that hybrid system under the hood. Well, it is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline 4 like the other CX-50s. However, it is not the Sky Active 2.5 liter. This is actually a Toyota designed 4-cylinder. That's right. Basically, under the skin, this is a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. The gas engine with the electric motors altogether makes 219 horsepower, putting it almost right in the middle between the regular Sky Active 2.5 naturally aspirated drivetrain and the 2.5 liter turbo, which makes 227 horsepower. So this is a middle ground between those two. We also have 3 electric motors on board, 2 up front, one that acts as basically a starter motor and one that acts as a traction motor, and then we have its own independent motor in the back for the all-wheel drive. So it has a completely different rear differential subframe because it's an electric rear diff. So although this is all-wheel drive, it's actually a different all-wheel drive system than the regular CX-50. So how does it drive after all of this work? It drives great. It gets about 38 miles to the gallon on average. However, I took a shorter drive through town and got 43 miles to the gallon, and I've been averaging mid to low 30s, which is fantastic. It's better than my naturally aspirated Mazda 3 has ever done. Paired to that hybrid system is an eCVT. This marks the first time that Mazda has used an eCVT, and normally I don't like it. I don't love CVTs, and I have to say I'm not over the moon about this one either. However, driving it around, I actually forgot that it was an eCVT until I hooked up the camera and started talking and had to remind myself. It will fake shift every once in a while, and there's a sport mode, and the only time you really notice that it is a CVT is on the highway. When you put your foot flat into it, it starts accelerating but never shifts. It feels kind of weird, but other than that, it's fine. If there's anyone I would trust with a CVT or eCVT would be Toyota, and that's exactly what this unit is. Last but not least about the drivetrain, as I mentioned earlier, this is all-wheel drive with that all-wheel drive system. Everything else in the CX-50 feels good. The suspension geometry actually remains the same between the hybrid and non-hybrid vehicles. So although this does have the heavier battery pack, and we will mention that, and the floor sheet metal of this car is completely different than the floor sheet metal of the standard CX-50, the suspension geometry remain the same, so it still drives nice, has a good feel. The only difference that I have noticed while driving has been the brake pedal feels a little bit stiffer. I don't know if that's true. It might be placebo, but that was something that I thought. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because we do have a fair amount of interior changes as well. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is our first big change. We have a charge and power gauge where the tachometer normally lives, and this is a Toyota designed gauge. In the center, we get our information gauge, which is switchable as usual. However, you can now also look at the battery. Off to the right, coolant and fuel. This is exactly identical with the standard CX-50s. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our volume, skip track, phone options, and info. And off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise control. To the left of the steering wheel, we have a climate control vent, our bubble button or safety features off, traction control off, and gas cap release. And then we have the tailgate and 2 levels of memory seats. On the door, we have the lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. It is touchscreen when using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, of which are wireless, so I really like that. But other than that, nothing too crazy. I really wish that I got an energy flow screen like you get in Toyotas, but no special hybrid screens here in the center. And this is the backup camera. No 360 camera, which I think is a big miss for it being a premium plus hybrid, but you can still go higher with the traditional turbo that does have a 360 camera. Down below, we have a kind of out in the middle of nowhere climate vent and our climate controls. Absolutely love these climate controls. They're small, concise, really, really simple. Heated and ventilated seats, all the necessities packed in there. And then we do have some cubby space and cup holders, so we'll do a big freaking bottle test, and it fails like all modern Mazdas do. However, this is the closest any of them have come to passing, so maybe we're on the right track. Then we have the shifter, and this is pulled out of Toyota's parts bin. This is a Toyota shifter. I don't mind it. It's not bad or good. It's just kind of funny to see here in a Mazda product. To the left, we do have our drive mode select. We have some new drive modes for the hybrid. Instead of sport and off-road, we have power and trail, which are nearly the same thing, however, renamed because they actually do slightly different functions. The off-road will help with that electronic rear diff, and the power mode will have the electric motors and gas engine work together. Off to the right, we have another special button for our EV mode, so you can pop that into EV mode and drive at slow speeds under complete electricity. We have the traditional power parking brake, auto holding brake, volume, and scroll wheel. Down below that, love the feeling of this, always have, and I think I always will from Mazda. Wireless charger and center console with 2 USB-Cs. The seats are comfortable. They are heated and ventilated, power and memory, and I like them. But again, these don't change from the standard CX-50 to the hybrid. However, speaking of seats, what does change is something about the back seats, so let's hop back there. All right, so we're in the back of the 2025 Mazda CX-50 hybrid, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room is decent, headroom is decent. This is my driving position, and my knees aren't hitting the seat in front of me, which is fantastic to see. I also do get climate vents down below and 2 USB-C chargers, and we do get a center console with 2 cup holders. The one and only downside of the hybrid's back seats over the traditional CX-50's back seats is that the back seats are a little bit harder, they're a little bit thinner. The reason for that is the battery pack is actually underneath these back seats. So they can't let you sink as far down into them or you'll hit the battery pack. Or basically the battery pack takes up so much space that they can't give you more space for the back seat. So if backseat comfort is your absolute pinnacle reason for buying a car, which I would highly recommend the CX-5 over that or the CX-90, but whatever. The traditional CX-50 is going to have a better cushionier back seat, but it's honestly not bad. I could just see this on a long road trip being a little bit tedious, but Toyota is the exact same way with their back seats. So pick your poison. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, we're on the back of the CX-50 hybrid. Button right there. And it pops open like that. Once we are in the back, as you can see, plenty of cargo space, and you can lift this up and you get the subwoofer. It's not really a subwoofer, but added speaker for the Bose system and the spare tire. The battery system and the electrical system back here doesn't eat up any of the trunk space, which is fantastic to see. I know all you're seeing is my giant shadow. I'll try to get out of the way, but plenty of rear cargo space in the CX-50 hybrid, and we do have these handles here to put the seats down. My equipment is on the other side of that seat, so I just crushed it, but that's okay. So very nice to see those handles, and then all we have to do is come up here, press the button, and it is a power operated tailgate. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like the look of the CX-50. I always have. I think I always will. I think it's rather macho, and if you want a more macho version of the CX-5, well, here you go, and that is retained here for the hybrid. They don't water it down just because it gets a hybrid powertrain, and I like that a lot. And overall, I think it's pretty handsome. With all of that being said, though, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the all-new, first time ever Mazda CX-50 hybrid? Well, first of all, it's been an awesome experience just as a reviewer. To have a special car sent to the house and be able to drive it around has been really, really cool. People have been asking me about it. They were wondering what it is. And I got to say, hey, I can't actually tell you until November 12th at 7 a.m. Eastern. So that was kind of fun for me. But I digress. This car has been really, really good. I was worried about the CVT, and it's no worry at all. Honestly, I didn't even notice it. The fuel economy has been great, and it still looks and drives and feels like a Mazda. Toyota is very, very good at building hybrid systems. I would say it's one of the best things that they do. So when I heard that Mazda was going to use their system for the new CX-50 hybrid, I thought, great. It's already a wonderful system. It's a win-win for everyone. And now, although I like this hybrid system in the RAV4, this car is a lot nicer to drive than the RAV4. The materials in here feel nicer. The suspension geometry is better. It handles better. It's more fun to drive, and this car actually has a personality where the Toyota RAV4 kind of doesn't. The Toyota RAV4 feels very much like an appliance. I love that car like I would love my microwave or toaster. This actually has a little bit of soul, a little bit of passion. And so for the CUV hybrid market, I think the CX-50 is my pick because it combines everything that makes Mazda great with everything that makes Toyota so great, puts it together in a cauldron, spins it around, sugar spice, everything nice, and you get this great product. I'm really happy with the CX-50 hybrid. I think it'll be here for a little while, and I hope that you go check one out because I think you'll be impressed. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Mazda, Drive Shop, and the Midwestern Automotive Media Association for making all of this possible. It has been one of the coolest things I have done, and I appreciate them very, very much. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.